Hi, welcome to Storm the Field. I'm Mathis. I'm joined here with Trey, Quentin, and Rob. This is Thursday, October 6th, 2022, and we are going to get into our Week 6 predictions. We got a ton of games. We got 8 in total we're going to be breaking down for you and giving our picks. And so we're just going to keep it real simple. We're just going to do our previews and then our upset alert at the end, and we'll get out of here. All right. Starting off with Tennessee at LSU. Tennessee on the road is favored by 3 points, and the over under for that game is 65. Rob, you won last week, so we'll start with you.
I am going with Tennessee keeping the record unbeaten and beating LSU, who just got back into the top 25. They're going to find themselves on the way out again. I think Tennessee. I think they're one of the elite teams in the nation, definitely in the SEC, and I'm looking forward to well. Let me rephrase that. For them to play an undefeated Alabama would mean they'd have to beat A&M first, which I do expect them to do. But I think it will be interesting to see Alabama and Tennessee battling for first in their respective divisions, possibly as undefeated teams going against each other, which I think is next week.
Yeah, they play next week. All right, Quentin, go next.
I think Tennessee rolls. I think that they're just better. I don't think LSU's top 20. I mean, I know they are a top 25 team, but I don't think they're top 25 caliber. I think that Florida State's not ranked. I think Florida State's better than them. So I mean, they beat them. So
they proved it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Does anyone have any score?
I just think Tennessee's better.
Do you have any scores?
I agree with them.
What did you say that spread was?
Tennessee -3.
That's too low.
That's too close.
I mean, especially with Tennessee's offense rolling, I just don't see how LSU could win this game. I know it's in Death Valley, but Tennessee's just one of the hottest teams in the nation right now, and I would pick Tennessee to win this game.
Yeah, I agree also. What do y'all think that LSU could do that could possibly change that?
I think Tennessee, that they're a new powerhouse, so they're probably not used to winning week in, week out. And I think LSU playing at home, new system, new coach, you just never know what's going to happen. I mean, LSU can be the worst team in the nation and play Alabama to the fourth quarter. So I think just playing on the road at LSU is always dangerous, no matter who you are, but especially Tennessee is not used to winning.
Yeah.
Well, LSU's defense really has to step up this week, playing one of the best offenses in the nation. I feel like a way for them to win is force turnovers in third downs when the stadium gets extremely loud, where people are just disoriented. That would be their best chance of winning this game, is forcing turnovers to let their offense move the ball down the field.
Yep.
And score.
Yeah, I think if LSU can play strong defensively and they can put the ball on the ground effectively, I think that they will have a chance to win. But I don't know that I have confidence in them doing that.
Yeah. It starts on the defensive side for them this week.
Yeah, I think they definitely have to.
Their goal is to keep. Their number one goal should be to keep Tennessee's offense off the field.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. Yeah. I think you got to keep it. If you're LSU, you got to get off the field on third downs. You got to keep the game low scoring, and you got to establish the run. Because I think Tennessee is definitely going to key in on the QB contain.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to be rough for so I got Tennessee kind of extending this game late. I got it and I have a score for every one of these games. I kind of went overboard. I have a Tennessee 38, LSU 24. So I have a 2-touchdown game by the end of it. I think it stays close for the majority, but
I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very uncommon that you see games go all the way to the fourth quarter, because if it's a 3-point game, then they're expecting it to be playing meaningful football with 2 minutes left. And I honestly am just not sure that's the way this game will go. But I mean, obviously we're higher on Tennessee than a lot of people are, and so I think LSU probably needs a little bit of stuff to go their way. Quentin, are you back to the living?
Huh?
Are you back?
Yeah.
All right.
I think Quentin has some distractions.
Yeah. Maybe girl problems.
I'm married to the game. All right. Next game.
Next,
Next
we're
game.
going to College Game Day, 11 o'clock kickoff, Central Time. TCU is favored by 7 against Kansas. The over-under for this game is all the way at 69. Nice. Trey, you start us off. What is
Kansas? I like Kansas this year. They're hot, but I can't keep trusting them to continue to win these games week in and week out. TCU is a good team. They proved it last week, manhandling Oklahoma. And I don't think Kansas is as good as a team as they've been showing. I think they just got caught fire at the right time, and so I have TCU winning this week.
All right, Rob?
Yeah.
Or Quentin?
I also have TCU winning. I mean, I was looking at Kansas's schedule earlier, and their scoring has decreased in every game so far. They scored a lot, and then they've decreased ever since. And I think Jalen Daniels is really good, and I think if he plays really well, that gives him a chance to win. But I think TCU's offense is rolling, and I think that Kansas has absolutely no defense to stop them. I mean, they won last week off of 3 missed field goals. So,
yeah,
I agree. I'm going with TCU. This was actually one of the tougher games to pick because Kansas is at home, but I think Kansas has been playing way above their abilities, really. I think, I do like Kansas. I do hope they find a bowl game this year. They're one game away, but I think TCU is riding high right now off that big win over Oklahoma. I think their offense is one of the better ones in the nation. And, the only thing that I think could trip TCU up is you're probably going to get one of the bigger attendances at Kansas that they've probably seen in a long time. I don't know for sure, but I would be surprised if it's not sold out.
Football school.
Probably the first time in a generation they've had 2 ranked teams playing in their home stadium. But my gut's telling me TCU's going to win. Kansas Cinderella season is probably over. But my gosh, if Kansas wins this game, they should be in the top 10.
Man, this win's good for Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if Kansas is going to win this game, they're going to have to score a lot. And something that TCU really benefited from, and I don't say this as a knock to TCU, because I think they caused this problem. So I think this is a little bit replicatable, but Kansas cannot get lost in coverage in the pass game. Because that's what TCU did to beat OU last week. And obviously, you can say that's what they did, but you can also say they ran the ball. They did whatever they wanted against OU. But a lot of their passing attack was based off of OU miscues, which granted I think was schemed that way. But so that's a thing that Kansas really needs to control if they're wanting to win this game, is they cannot get lost in coverage and you have to stay home. And at the end of the day, and then for the other side, TCU, they're going to have to contain the quarterback because Jalen Daniels is a good football player. And so I think that they're going to have to keep him in the pocket, which is something Iowa State did a good job about last week. They just couldn't capitalize on special teams. And Quentin, I thought it was a great point. Hey, you're talking about how Kansas's offense has gone slower and slower. And I think they're starting to get figured out a little bit. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to Kansas because I still think they're a good football team. And this is probably not the last time we're going to talk about them this season, just to be quite frank with y'all. But I think the team with the more explosive plays wins this game. So give me TCU in a shootout, 42-35.
Wow.
That's high. I don't know if it's going to be that high.
I don't know. I think there's not going to be a whole lot of defense played.
I could definitely see it being that high. I'm not gonna say it won't be that high, but because I definitely could see it being that high. But I'm not gonna.
I could definitely see one of those scores being right on the TCU side.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I think it's gonna be a good game.
I think these are two really good offenses, and I might still be looking for the defense. I don't know. TCU's going on the road for really their first road test. They played SMU, but as from what we saw in that game, that was not much of a test. And if it was, then they passed tremendously. And
It
then,
was only what, a 45-minute drive.
yeah, and then
If that.
I mean they did go on the road early against Colorado, but
It's Colorado.
yeah, like what I had is the worst team in FBS this preseason.
Other than Colorado State.
No, I think Colorado might be the worst team in the
Yeah,
FBS.
I think Colorado.
All right, but we're
Okay.
gonna go ahead and move on to our next game, and I'm gonna be really honest with y'all. Auburn at Georgia, there is not much to talk about, and so we all know what our picks are, obviously. And if I'm wrong on this, then y'all, if you're picking Auburn, let me know now.
I just did.
No one. All right.
And,
So Georgia's
the
favorite.
only comment I have is where'd that 28 point number come from? Is that an early Georgia team? It's certainly not the team that we've seen the last couple of weeks.
It's actually up to nearly 30, I think, or maybe it went down from earlier.
Yeah, it's 30 now. It's Georgia
30.
minus
It's
30
right now. I just, unless Georgia's going to start playing the way they had, they're not going to win by 30.
No, I don't have them. The over, they're up. They're minus 30. The over under for this is 49.5. It is a rivalry game, and so to make this segment interesting at all, Quentin, what does Auburn need to do to pull the upset?
They need Georgia to fall apart completely. I don't see any scenario that Auburn can do something as a team to make a difference in the game. I think the only way it's close is if Georgia makes it close. I don't think Auburn's going to make it close. I mean, come on, the money line is at minus 10,000. They're not even going to let you bet on it. They're not even going to let you bet on it. You'd lose money. It's like, yeah, like come on. I don't think it's really.
They're predicting a 40-10 score with a 49 point.
The Auburn
over.
team total is 9.5.
Yeah.
I don't think this. I think that Auburn will cover. I will say that. I think Auburn will cover the spread.
I think Auburn is going to cover. I don't think there's a chance in the world, short of Georgia, their entire offensive line getting sick with food poisoning.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. That's
but they're not gonna beat them by 30. It's just not gonna happen.
They have to do a Utah Jazz to the whole Georgia football team.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I actually have some actual points. Just it's not out of the realm of possibility. So I have 4 points that will allow Auburn to pull the upset. Number 1, magic. Number 2, turnovers. You got to win the turnover battle. And then third, the game has to be ugly. And it's got to be low scoring.
I got one more, Mathis, to go along with yours. Is they've got to outscore Georgia.
Yeah.
To win the game, they got to outscore Georgia.
Now, Mathis, I'm going to be honest with you. I think Georgia could turn the ball over 4 times and not force a single turnover on Auburn's side, and I think Georgia could still win the game by 25 points.
No,
they did also play terribly last week against Missouri. So
those 4 things, including magic, all have to happen.
Kirby Smart's pissed off right
now. He should be. The only way Auburn is going to win this game is because it's a rivalry game, and there's always the possibility that the underdog can win. And maybe the players are gonna, they win this game. Maybe they think they're going to keep their coach. I don't know what the player relationship with the coach is.
Who wants it more?
Maybe they're going to play. maybe they're going to play for him and pull up. I mean, bigger upsets have happened. For
Yeah,
sure.
it's not impossible.
And it's a rivalry game, and I'm sure Auburn players and fans are getting tired of probably losing to Georgia. I don't know, 15 straight times. But
They won a few times in the 2000s or 2000 teens.
Well, yeah, but not this current generation.
Yeah, not this regime with Kirby.
Yeah.
Regime.
It's a good
You
word.
said they're
Right?
like they're Nazis or something.
Can't say that word on YouTube, Trey.
Okay. All right.
We'll
All
be
right.
demonetized, Trey.
Dang it, Trajan! No. All right. Yeah, but I think we all agree. Can we all
Is
just
there
say
anything
we're picking
you
Georgia?
wanna
Yeah, we haven't told you yet, Quentin. We're getting 30 cents a podcast.
Yeah. You guys are getting paid?
What?
No. No. So the score I had, I'm just gonna keep saying it because I did enough to actually like crunch the numbers in my head. I got Georgia 35, Auburn 14, and so two scores. It's like it's not impossible. They went up 17 on LSU last week. All right. Moving out to the West Coast. Utah is going to UCLA off a big Friday night win last week. Shout out UCLA getting me a win up on Quentin. Utah, the road team, is favored by 3.5. And the over-under for this game is 64.5. There's just a bunch of high-scoring games that they're predicting this week.
Yep.
We also are doing a lot of Big 12 and Pac-12 teams, or like West Coast schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, Rob, if I don't have anyone, I'm just going to default to you since you won last week. Start us off, because I think you have something interesting from what I've heard.
I think the Pac-12 is still trying to figure out who their elite teams are, and Utah has been playing well since their opening game loss to Georgia. They just haven't been dominating teams like we all expected them to. I think UCLA is playing a lot better. Their offense is hitting on all cylinders. They're playing at home, and it's from a spread standpoint, it's a tight game, and I'm going to say it's close. I think it's going to be high scoring, but I think UCLA is going to win. I think UCLA. I think there's going to be a big showdown between UCLA and USC in the next couple of weeks. I don't know exactly when they play, but that one's going to be the winners in the Pac-12 championship for sure. But that's one of my upsets. UCLA beating Utah.
Okay, Trey, you go next.
I mean, I agree with everything that Rob said. I feel like coming off that big win last week, UCLA is riding high, beating a ranked Washington team, which could have possibly been an overrated team, but
I knew that.
I digress.
They suck.
But UCLA just looks hot right now, and I can't choose against them playing at home this week, so I'm going UCLA.
Quentin?
Rob, I'm actually gonna have to disagree with you on Utah playing worse than UCLA, because if we actually look at it, Utah lost to Florida, and then they beat Southern Utah 73-7, San Diego State 35-7, Arizona State 34-14, and Oregon State 42-16.
Hey, don't throw facts at me.
Yep.
UCLA played South Alabama at 1 point. So
stop finding stuff out.
So
South Alabama's the best Group 5 team.
I'm pretty sure.
Trey, you're just a South Alabama homer. All right, Quentin, continue.
They're Sunbelt school.
Quentin, the only
but
thing hey, Quentin, you should have learned. You should have learned from the errors of your ways from last week. I think you and I differed on 6 or 7 games.
No, I didn't make my pick.
And I beat you every single one.
Yup.
I haven't made my pick.
Oh.
Utah's gonna lose.
but not for the reasons
you-
I said.
No, Utah's looking over this game to USC. They're playing them next week, so that's why I'm putting Utah and USC both on upset alert because
Ooh.
I think that both these teams are gonna be. I think they're looking towards that game, just like we thought A&M was looking towards Miami, but
Right.
yeah. But anyways,
And
I'm
then
I'm
Miami
gonna
was
pick
still
UCLA
looking back
too.
at A&M the next week against Middle
I
Tennessee.
think that their offense and their quarterback. I think DTR is special. I think that he's gonna make things happen.
Y'all want to see my impression of UCLA? It's a roller coaster. DTR, I don't know if some of y'all remember, he started last year. You know who they tried to bring in and did for like 30 seconds? Dylan Gabriel.
Bo Nix.
Dylan Gabriel, who transferred from UCF
And he's so good too, right?
to UCLA, never enrolled in classes at UCLA, and changed his transfer portal destination to Oklahoma.
And look at where that got him.
I mean, that's what you get, but
And on concussion protocol.
I guess so. No, but all that to say, the coaching staff knows what I know. He's inconsistent. He can be good, but he can also be bad. And Quentin, thank you. Because I was having flashbacks to last week where I was agreeing with you and disagreeing with Rob. Rob, now you have the bad luck on your side. I'm taking Utah going in, not covering, because I have them winning by exactly 3 points when that line's 3.5. So I think it's a close game. I don't think UCLA can convert on enough third downs against this Utah defense. And I think that Cam Rising, it's honestly a great thing for Utah losing that week 1 game because guess who's talked about him since? No one. And so Kyle Whittingham's going to do the exact thing he wants to do. Just keep his team right there. They're not getting too high. They're not getting too low. They're not Utah, or they're not UCLA, who's in LA with all the distractions. I think they're going to be able to go in there, take care of business, and move on playing at home against USC the next week. And so I think UCLA covers. I think it's close. But give me the Utes.
So, Mathis, I think that pretty much what you just said is that you either really, really, really want to agree with me and you want to be like me, and that's why Rob's taking the bad luck, or we're both idiots, and I'm trying to make up for my mistakes. But if I do remember, we had the same record other
With the
than the
exception of
UCLA
one game. Yeah.
With the exception of one game. So I don't know if I'm bad luck. Maybe it's...
All I know is Mathis is sitting on an island on this game.
Fine
True.
by me.
It's true.
It's like
I wouldn't
Hawaii.
wanna
Hawaii's a
do
great
that
place to
given your
be.
performance last
What's
week.
wrong with islands? What's wrong with islands? That's all I got to
Well,
say.
when you perform, I'm saying you can't perform like you did last week and expect to go out on the island this week, man.
They're always surrounded by blue.
Trey, what happens if you stop shooting? You lost confidence.
Nothing happens to me, man.
I'm
Hey,
not
let's
going to
talk
hide
about,
behind your and
Bama.
Rob's picks
Bama
all
and
week,
A&M.
and then how am I going to get games back on y'all? I got to claw my way back into the conversation.
yeah.
You got to be different.
Hey,
Blaze your
But
own
this doesn't
trail.
matter.
All right, moving on to the game that I threw in here just because I felt like it deserved to be talked about, but I don't have a read on it hardly at all. Notre Dame coming off a bye and a big win at North Carolina is playing
big win, it's North
BYU
Carolina.
in what I think is Las Vegas. And Notre Dame's going into that game 2-2. And they're favored by 3.5 points in a game that has an over-under of 51. And so, first off, just we'll get this out of the way. Who does everyone have?
Trey, close your ears. I've got Notre Dame. I think BYU, they've got a really good record. I was high on them early, but they've just, to me, just been too inconsistent. And I think Notre Dame, they're not anywhere near as good as everyone thought they were at the beginning of the season. But I think they are going to right the ship and start, knocking some wins. I don't think they're going to necessarily be bowl eligible, but I just, my gut tells me Notre Dame is going to beat BYU.
If I'm on an island choosing BYU this week, so be it. I will never choose, not BYU. I'll be on an island choosing BYU this week. I will never choose Notre Dame in a game that we pick. Never. I don't care if they're the number 1 seed playing the worst FBS team. I am not choosing Notre Dame.
All right, I think we know where you stand. Quentin, go ahead.
I think I'm gonna have to go BYU. I think that they're just better.
Yep.
I don't know. This could go either way though. I'm really not sure. I haven't even made my pick yet.
I'm very sure.
This has been one. This was one of the tougher games for me to pick.
It was a tough
This is
one.
probably my hardest one.
Yeah.
This was the easiest one for me.
All right.
Well, it's always easy when it comes to Notre Dame because you always bet against
them. Yep.
All right, so I'm going to show you on my
That's
sheet.
why they haven't won a championship since the 80s.
I'm breaking the rules again because you're not supposed to see behind the scenes on this show, but y'all see that?
No.
BYU.
It looks like calculus.
I wish it'd be easier. I'm just going to put a big X over that and give me the Fighting Irish.
I don't know.
Boom.
I don't know.
No, playing defense, I heard.
I don't know.
I didn't want to let Rob be the only one to pick him, and I didn't really have a read on it anyways, and so I was kind of just sitting back, seeing what people said, and I can't let Rob pick up that game on us if that's what happens. If I lose a game with Rob, so be it. Quentin, I'm sure, can use any game he can gain on anyone he can get.
You're just taking all the bad luck with you, right? Oh.
Yep. Yeah, I don't.
He's an idiot.
So it's 2 for Notre Dame, 1 against.
He's an idiot.
Decided.
Yeah. Me and Quinn are very intelligent men. We're going BYU this week.
Oh, Quentin, you did commit. Yeah, you're right. BYU.
I committed, but not really.
He's verbally
it's kind of
committed.
it's kind of like Lincoln Riley to OU. Like I was like, oh yeah, I'm never gonna leave.
I'm not going to LSU.
Back door in the middle of the night.
Yeah, literally the next day, not 12 hours later, he's on a plane to South California. All right, Rob.
I mean, I don't blame him though.
Hey, this is actually.
Be a man about it.
Yeah.
Did y'all hear about the team who's playing 2 opponents next week?
A&M?
Yeah. So, A&M is playing Alabama, obviously. But they're also going against Jimbo Fisher.
Against what?
Jimbo. It's Jimbo versus Texas A&M at Alabama. And so that's what I wrote down. Bama is minus 24. And so, and the over-under for this is 51. And so they don't have a whole lot of confidence that A&M's putting up points. And guess what? I'm not either. And I think we know where most of us are going. When you have a huge line like that, we want to talk about both teams because I think this can be an interesting matchup. But maybe the storyline is more interesting than the actual game. But before we get into the storyline, Rob, what do your Aggies need to do to win this game?
Well, just talking about that storyline, there's one thing you didn't mention. You might, but it's the whole Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher.
That's why we're talking about it. We're getting the game out of the way first, so we can talk about the fun stuff.
Okay. So I'm going with Alabama. Obviously, I went with them in the preseason. A&M is not showing me anything that tells me that they're going to be competitive in this game. The only way they'll win is if They finally start doing what they're capable of doing, and they score all the unscored points that they left on the table earlier this year and make up for it in this game.
And start their third string quarterback.
Yeah. I'm not down on Max Johnson. I just don't think he's been given a lot of opportunities, just like King. I mean,
I was just saying, given last year, y'all, that's what y'all needed to happen again.
Well, that's true. Yeah, yeah. We need A&M needs to make up for all the missed opportunities and the better play calling in this game, and it all come to fruition here. They also need to throw something at Alabama that Alabama's not anticipating. Last year they were anticipating King, and who would have thought a backup quarterback would ever beat Alabama? And who knows? I mean, freaky things have happened, but I would give this one much less of a chance than Georgia losing to Auburn, honestly.
I can't disagree.
This is probably, and I hate to say this, but this is probably one of my locks for the week is Alabama winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that maybe A&M should send every single Alabama player like a gift basket or like a fruit basket, and like maybe try and be nice, try and calm them down, because those guys are pissed off at A&M from last year.
Yeah,
they have not forgot. They have not forgotten that.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say.
Y'all hit on all my points. I don't have anything to say.
The only hope A&M has is the fact that on any given Saturday, that's it. I mean, you can say, well, they got to control time of possession because they haven't done that in any game. They've got to get their offensive line working. They got to get the run game going. They got to open up the offense with the passing. I mean, there's a million things that they need to do and could do, but it's just a matter of will they do it? And then at the same time, will Alabama not do the things they're capable of doing? That's the only thing that's going to take A&M to win. I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see it.
So when you look at this game last year,
in a sense, it's kind of like not expecting to get any presents on Christmas, and if I get one under the tree, that's above and beyond what I expected. That's the way I'm going into this game.
All right, so to look at this game this year, I think you have to know what happened last year. And so A&M, big win over Alabama at home. 17-point favorites going into that game in College Station at Kyle Field. And A&M, they just kind of punched them in the mouth. And they just didn't act scared. They played them like they were any other football team. And went in there with their backup quarterback who played great. I think clock management, it was a very well-executed game plan.
They controlled the game from the outset, and they didn't win on a fluke. I mean, it was theirs to lose.
You succeeded on special teams. They let
Alabama back in the game, but yeah, I mean,
you succeeded on special teams, and there was obviously, but I think one of the biggest things that people forget is what I just mentioned. They were a 17-point favorite. They were coming off a game, and I think they were just
a 2-game loss.
It felt like they had. It looked like Alabama went in there sleepwalking, and they were overconfident. And I think they'd already had some close road games that year, and I really think that's where just everything turned for them. Is after that game, there was their wake up call, and for those who don't know what happened, there was a lot of beef between Jimbo and Saban, and this offseason.
I think a lot of that,
and so
I think a lot of it cleared up now.
And so I think, but I think that you forgive, but you don't forget, and I think I think Alabama's really bitter and frustrated with what happened last year. And I think that you don't get the benefit of Alabama coming in there unprepared. They had this game circled
Mhm.
on their calendar as soon as the schedule came out. And I think Bama's going to be very ready for them. What's honestly sad is Bryce Young might not play in this game. I don't know for sure. Nick Saban hasn't really given an official update. But what I find frustrating for this game for A&M is I don't think it matters. Because even though Alabama is one-dimensional, A&M or with Jalen Milroe, he's a good running quarterback, and they just ran the ball a lot with him last week against Arkansas. And so I don't really think it matters because I think they're going to be able to do what they want with A&M schematically. And honestly, is Jalen Milroe better than anyone that A&M has on their quarterback roster?
Yes.
They might still have the quarterback advantage with their backup. And I just so for A&M to win this game, they need a real QB. They need to make stops. They need to keep Alabama one-dimensional. Can't let them throw the ball on you. You got to make them run. You got to keep it low scoring. You got to keep it ugly, kind of like Auburn. But you know what? None of that matters if you don't have an offense.
Yeah, I was about to say
And so
A&M needs
so
to
that's the
become
point.
dimensional.
They need to be dimensional. They need to exist on that side of the ball, which they did a little bit against Arkansas, mainly in the second half, which is what got them that win. And but I don't think that you have the benefit of Bama overlooking you or looking ahead. I think you have their undivided attention, which is a scary thing for for Jimbo Fisher. And so we kind of
Hey,
scoffed at
Mathis,
what's up.
I think one thing A&M has in an advantage is, first off, I think their playbook is going to hurt them against Alabama. I think, you got offense, you got defense, you got special teams, all that. I think player to player, they're pretty close to being even. I think if A&M can do multiple times, like they did to Arkansas, the one time where Jefferson fumbled the ball at the 4-yard line, if we can just make a crazy play, and I'm talking about A&M, make a crazy on the field, those guys in a backyard setting, just pick up game of football. For that play, A&M had the better players on the field, and there's going to be a lot of times where we have the better players, but will they be in the right position? I think if something goes funky on a certain play, I think A&M could take advantage of it. But I think you're going to have 3 or 4 of those kind of things to happen.
You're gonna need those
wild, yeah,
4 to 6 play drives. You're gonna need to. You're gonna want to put points on the board quickly, and then get a stop. And so I just don't see that happening. Last week I kind of scoffed at the Alabama favored by what was it, 20 or something like that, 22 against Arkansas. I don't know if I have that number right. No, it was like 17 or 18, I think.
Yeah, it was close.
But I scoffed at it. I said Arkansas is going to lose by a touchdown. And I mean, Alabama covered, and you'd think, oh, maybe Arkansas had some injuries. No, Alabama was the team with the injuries, and they covered. And so I'm rolling with Vegas on this one. I'm calling it a push. I'm taking Alabama 38, Texas A&M 14. They're covering. They're gonna get.
Be
24.
very happy. I'm going to be very happy if it's a 2-score game going into the third quarter.
Yeah, and I think that's what you need it to be if you're A&M. All right, well, we're gonna get rid of the doom and gloom. Oh, last question. Real interest is Jimbo versus Saban. Will Jimbo throw hands after this game with Nick Saban? Are we gonna see a little cat fight midfield, or are they gonna be?
They're gonna shake hands. They're gonna shake hands. Everyone's watching, and I'm sure
they didn't last year.
Grown men too.
Yeah, I mean Alabama. Saban is not gonna make anything. He's not going to want anybody to write about anything other than how Alabama dominated A&M on the field. His focus right now is just moving forward, SEC championship, playoffs, that whole bit. he's not going to want to distract his players or anything. So he's going to offer his hand, and I can't see Jimbo not doing the same.
All right. Yeah, well, that's all we have for this game. We need to get moving. We're a little behind now. Yeah. This is one I don't have a clear answer on. Florida State, NC State. NC State at home, favored by 3, and usually you get about 3 points for being at home. So they're really just saying this is a toss-up game. Neutral site, they'd probably be completely even. And so the over-under is 50.5. And I didn't have a whole lot of time before this, so I didn't even get a chance to make my pick for this game. And so, Trey, you're going to start us off. I want you to make a case to me who is going to win this game.
North Carolina State. I feel like Florida State is probably one of the most overrated teams in college football right now. They're a good team, but I don't think NC State's only a 3-point favorite going into this game because NC State just is a better team overall. I mean, they're playing it at North Carolina State, which is another obstacle that Florida State would have to jump over to win this game, and I just don't see it happening. I feel like they're going to lose some of that mojo that they had at the beginning of the year because they played, in my opinion, an overrated LSU team as well, only to a point. So, NC State's just a better team than both teams. So, I have NC State winning by at least a touchdown.
Do either one of y'all have a different pick on this game, or y'all both with NC State?
With NC State too. At first, I had difficulties picking this, but I can't disagree with what Trey said. I don't know necessarily if they're really overhyped. I mean, they're 4-1 and they're not ranked. So I mean, they've won the games that they've had to. They should have lost the LSU game, but I just think NC State is a much better team, and I think that, playing at home. I mean, I'll be surprised if this is a 10-point game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of annoyed with both of these teams because they showed me absolutely nothing last week on who would beat who. They both just got handled by obviously superior teams. So I'm going to go with NC State as well. I think they're better. I think that they're more disciplined. I think Florida State's kind of still riding the LSU game through the season. So I think it's going to be a important game for both teams, but I do think NC State will win.
Okay, well, I don't have a big enough read on this. I haven't looked at it long enough. So I'll probably just go with y'all, pick NC State on the pick'em. But just for argumentative sake, I'm going to take FSU just so we can talk about the other side. Florida State can score points. Can NC State score points? They had one actual touchdown last week in not garbage time. That got held to field goals. Their receivers are not very good. And you look at their quarterback, Devin Leary, who I was extremely high on in the preseason. He did a great job protecting the ball last year. He hasn't done as good this year. They haven't been as efficient on offense. Do you know who's been extremely efficient on offense? Florida State. Now, they haven't played a defense like NC State yet, and even Wake Forest, who has probably an inferior defense to NC State. I mean, they didn't score a whole lot. What was it, 21-31?
They don't score a lot against good teams. Like LSU, they only scored 24 points. Wake Forest, they only scored 21. When they played Boston College, Louisville, that's when they're going to blow up because that's what they're expected to do. They're Florida State at the end of the day. So I really wouldn't read Florida State on games against bad teams. That's how I'm reading it. I don't care that they're putting up points against Boston College. I mean, that's just.
They have receivers who can make plays. They have some playmakers. I'm not sure that NC State does. Granted, like I already told y'all, I'm going with NC State on the pick'em because I think y'all made some good points. But I'm talking about the other side. I don't know if NC State's offense exists right now. They had 13 and they were playing an amazing defense last week. So we'll give them credit. But they struggled with ECU. They should have lost to ECU. The ECU kicker had a missed extra point, and which would have tied the game, and then they had an opportunity, and he shanked the game-winning field goal. That's a game they should have lost.
Same thing happened in FSU's favor though against LSU.
But you know what else
Yeah,
happened?
LSU's
They were in
not a
the
very
red
good team
zone.
this year.
They were in the
Yeah.
red zone and fumbled with a minute left. So
I
it
just
could have been
think
a
LSU
two-touchdown.
I think they're just a better, well-rounded team than Florida State.
It could have
I
been a
think
two-touchdown
Florida State
game. In that last minute, there was a 7-point swing.
LSU is obviously not a very good team. They barely beat Auburn. They were down 17-0, and the same thing happened with the LSU game. So I don't even.
Personally,
I
I think
don't-
that
I don't
FSU
trust
is
Florida
the
State,
better
personally.
team than LSU. Like I don't really even have any conflict in saying that. I think that if you played them
Yeah.
again today, that FSU would win probably by more.
I agree. This is
For
not a
LSU?
NC State.
FSU.
This is not an NC State lock.
I don't
But
know.
I just, I just think NC State is a better, more well-rounded team, and they're playing at home.
Yeah, I
Big
agree. And
advantage for them.
I agree, and I'm taking NC
Florida
State.
State's a hard place. Gainesville is a hard place to go. Is when Tallahassee. When their fans get into the game, I mean, it's very distracting. And
And so
annoying.
officially, all our picks are NC State. I was just hearing too much of a NC State echo chamber. That we needed to get some FSU talk
Yeah.
out there, and we needed that argument to be said,
Yeah.
even if no one's taking it. All right, guys,
On to the worst game of the day.
we're here.
The best game of
Let's
the
go! Get him! I own you! All right. UT. Quinn Ewers is back, baby. 9-point favorites against Oklahoma. The over-under is 65.5. And so, I'm a little excited, so I'm starting us off with this one. Like I just said, Quinn Ewers is back. Do you know who's probably gone? Dylan Gabriel. You know what? It didn't matter if Dylan Gabriel played last week because they got hosed.
He hasn't practiced all week.
They got hosed last week at TCU. And I think that Texas is the more explosive team. I think they have the better running back. I don't think they have as good of an offensive line. And it might just be a wash on who has a better O-line. UT is kind of weak in that area, but they got Bijan Robinson. I think that he's on watch for 150 plus total yards. I don't know if he'll get it in the ground, but because they utilize him in the pass game too. But
Okay, I'm back.
I think Texas is gonna win this game, and y'all are gonna roll your eyes when I get to the number here in a second. First, I want to get, you know what, Rob, you're the resident Texas hater. What does OU need to do to win this game? We'll get to our picks in a second.
What OU needs is for Texas to do their traditional play
Mm-hmm.
inconsistently. Like on paper, Texas is the better team, but the thing that Texas has to battle that pretty much no other team in the nation has to battle is themselves getting in their own way. I think the only shot Oklahoma has is for Texas to pull a Kansas game from last year. Just not putting Oklahoma away, letting them back in the game like they did last year. Their problem is going to be is if they can't put them away. If they let Oklahoma stay in the game, then it's a toss up. And it happened to them against Texas Tech. I mean, that was a game they should have won. And God forbid they fumble on the first play of overtime.
Yeah.
That Texas it's nothing that OU is going to do that will allow them to win. Texas has to screw up for OU to win. That's the way I see it. And I'm I think Texas is going to win, but I don't have all the confidence that Texas. I mean, they've got everything going in their way with Ewers coming back and everything. I mean, that they could just get in their own way and just screw it up. This is
Yeah.
Texas game to lose.
Trey.
I mean, Texas, I feel like is a better team. I think we all can agree on that. Quinn Ewers coming back is really beneficial for UT going into this game, and losing Dylan Gabriel is really detrimental to Oklahoma because that's who they've been working. That's who they've been practicing with all off season and the first 5 games that they've played. So it's obviously going to be like a change that Oklahoma's going to have to overcome. I just don't think that they're going to win this week because of those circumstances. They're on a 2-game losing streak right now, and I don't think that's going to change. I think they're going to be on a 3-game losing streak by the end of this weekend. And if Quinn Ewers plays anything like he did that first that first quarter against Alabama, it's going to be a blowout because he looked extremely good. He looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, and that's what he's expected to do. So
Texas needs to take a page out of TCU's playbook, and once they put OU down,
Step on them.
they need to just keep the I mean, and that's going to be their downfall. If they let OU back in the game, then those crazy thoughts of last year is going to creep into their minds, and it could all go awry for Texas if they just don't keep the pedal down.
Quentin.
Yeah, OU's obviously shown us that they cannot defend the run, and Texas has the best running back in the Big 12. So I think if Texas does what they're supposed to do, if Quinn plays good, then I think it's going to be a Texas win. I think the best case scenario is that we see Hudson Card in the 4th quarter for Texas. I think that will be encouraging to me and all other Texas fans. That's all I'm saying.
All right. And
will OU win? Neither one of you
I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it. I'll come back down to reality for half a second, and then I'm just gonna be right back.
I think OU can win the game if Texas pisses the bed. Like I said last week, and when they lost to Tech, Texas has a serious problem with lead management.
Yeah.
It's a new football term I came up with.
That's
which
good.
is something that they need to work on.
So I'm coming back to reality for half a second. OU, first off, gotta say, they play the fastest snap count. Like they go the fastest. They snap the ball earliest in the play clock of any team in the league. And I think maybe even in college football in general, they go extremely fast. Now, if they're gonna win this game, they gotta make it slow. And I don't mean that in saying you can't play the game quick, but you need to just have these long, grueling drives. You gotta do what Texas Tech did. You gotta go for it on 4th down. You gotta slowly just wear down the defense. Make them. If you can get Texas's defense on the field for 80 plays or more, then Texas is in danger. And they gotta keep the game close because I think if Texas takes a double-digit lead, then guess who's not the head coach there, and guess who's not the quarterback? You don't have Caleb Williams, and you don't have Lincoln Riley. You have Brent Venables, a defensive-minded coach, and you're playing with most likely your 2nd or 3rd string quarterback. And so I think that obviously there's gonna have to be some explosive plays. I mean, you have it in every game. There's gonna be some, so you need to be on the right side of those, but you need to have very long drives. Now, all of that to say, I don't think it happens. And so, this is our tiebreaker. So, I want everyone to give me your total score for each team. Give me the final score and then give me the combined total. So, Rob, we'll start with you.
I have Texas winning 34-24.
Trey.
Texas winning. Hold on, I got to do the math real quick. 35. I'm just going to go 35-21. I think I had my over-under set at 60, so I'll adjust that as I need to.
Quentin?
I have mine at 34-24 with, I guess the total would be 58.
Wow. All right.
Are you just repeating? Are you just repeating what I said?
Is that what you said? Oh no, I meant to say 17. 17.
34-17.
Yeah, 34-17.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. I thought I was going to be out on a limb and say, oh, Texas is going to blow them out. And all y'all are going to be, there's no way. I don't think Texas, I think if Texas wins, most of the times they win are just by a lot. Because I think if it gets close, then OU has a way bigger chance of winning. I don't really see Texas surviving, especially after what's happened in a lot of these games. When they get close, Texas has a tendency to lose. And so I'm just going to leave it as is right now just because. But I might change the total just for game strategy. But right now, my predictive total, give me the Longhorns, 38-21.
59 points. I got 58.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
I got a question for you guys. On TV number 1, we're gonna have TCU and Kansas. On
No.
TV number 2, we're gonna have Tennessee and LSU. I think we ought to get the third TV out so we can watch this Texas OU game.
I might be watching this from home if you're going to be like that.
All right.
All right, well, that's all
I
we
think
have for
this
this.
might be the-
So we're just, I want to keep it under an hour. We're at 56 and a half minutes right now. Let's go ahead and get our upset alert in really, really quick. Rob, we'll start with you.
You go first, Mathis.
You go first.
I thought you wanted to go first because you only have one upset.
I have 1.5. I have one I'm picking and then
Okay.
one that I'm
Okay.
not.
I'll go first. I've got Arkansas
Dang
on
it,
the road
I have none
beating
now.
Go ahead.
I
What?
have only half an upset now because that was what I had to.
Well, since I've already said it, I don't see Arkansas losing 3 games in a row. They're too good of a team. And I think Mississippi State, for some strange reason, I guess beating A&M, which is not the biggest thing in their repertoire, but I just don't see Arkansas is a 9.5 point favorite last time dog. I just don't see them losing the game, even though it's on the road. And 9.5 points, where in the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they know something we don't. But I was in agreement. I'm picking Arkansas straight up. Trey, go ahead. You were second.
I'm gonna go UCLA, Utah this week. I picked that game earlier, and I think it's just other than Mississippi State, Arkansas is the most likely upset for this week.
All right. I'll go ahead and go since I finished third. This is not a game I'm picking, so this is not technically upset alert. It's upset watch. South Carolina's going to Kentucky. And so this is not a game
Oh my gosh.
You never know. This is the type of thing you got to watch out for. Do you know something? Every single year in the Mark Stoops era at Kentucky, they've had back-to-back losses. And they haven't yet. And so is this the game? Could this be the game? Coming off a disappointing loss?
No.
Could Ole Miss beat them twice? Maybe. I'm not predicting it, but I was looking through and I said, that could be a trap spot. And so watch out for South Carolina. I'm not picking it, not predicting it. We're talking about that game. We didn't get to mention it. That's what I have to say about it. Quentin, finish us off.
I have Washington State at USC
Ooh,
as my upset.
that's a good one.
Ooh.
Like I
Are
said
you
earlier,
picking it? Is that just a watch or is that a?
that's a watch.
Okay.
Okay.
But that's all I got to say.
All right. Well, that concludes our week 6 predictions. We will be back with y'all on. I'm not quite sure if we'll be here on Monday because I'll be on the road. I'm visiting this school for me and Quentin are taking a tour, being down in Austin Sunday and Monday, and so we might push it to Tuesday. We'll figure it out. I'm sure you will hear from me before then if what I want to happen happens on Saturday morning. I'm sure something on social media or something.
Mathis, just in case, you ought to get up to speed on suicide prevention measures because
I got
you're
their
going to be
number.
there. You might not for yourself, but for all the students at Texas, you might just be prepared.
All right, well that's all we have. Thank you for watching, and we will see y'all next week with our reaction episode, and you'll see how we did. Let us know in the comments what you have and if you did any better. Thanks for watching. Follow us on any of our socials. Subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having us. See you next time.